Today, we're going to take a look at the top 5 worst Donald Trump counties that still went red. This is different from the past video of the 5 best Harris counties that Trump won. There's a small difference between the percentages, but let's get into number 5. This is in Indiana. We've got Tippecanoe County. And as we always do here on Wikipedia, you can see on this map at the right where this county is located in the state. It's highlighted in red. So what are we looking at here? Well, this county is 50 miles from the Indianapolis area, 130 miles from Chicago. And we've got a decent population here. We've got 186,000. So with that bit of information, let's go down here and take a look at the demographics. This one is updated just through 2010, and usually a lot of the focus is on the racial makeup. Well, we've got 84% white, 6% Asian, 4% black, and we've got 7.5% Hispanic. Now in that same year, the median household income was $47,697. And let's take a look at the election. So this is Trump's 5th worst county. He only got 48.79%, but he still won. That's because Harris did even worse. She got 48.64. We've got a third-party vote at 2.57. Now, in the last 3 elections, this county has been a bellwether. Biden narrowly captured it in 2020, but Trump won it in 2016. Before that, with the exception of 2008, it voted red all the way through 1968. So we've got 4 elections in a row with 5.5-point margins or less. It's not up to the level of nearby Vigo County, which is the former premier bellwether county, but 3 elections in a row is not too bad either. Now last, let's take a look at the overall population here. The county has gained population every decade since back in 1890. It's been over 100,000 ever since 1970. So at this point, it looks like they're closing in on 200K. So that's number 5. Let's go to number 4. This is in a completely different state. This is in Colorado, and it's Grand County. The county itself is pretty big. It's about a couple of hours outside of Denver. The total population here is not that substantial. It's 15,700. So with low population, let's take a look at the demographics. This one, unfortunately, only goes back to 2000. But back then, the population was 95% white, and the median household income was about 47,700, similar to number 5. And the total population here has gone up over the decades. It was under 10,000 in 1990. So kind of a boom here around 2000. So how about in the election? Well, again, we already know Trump won this county, and this is going to be the exact same percentage as Tippecanoe. We've got Trump at 48.79, Harris at 0.8% worse. She's at 47.99. Now this county is consistently red going all the way back through 1968. Now the margins here have gotten a little bit closer with the exception of 2016. There we had the big third-party support at 8.5%. Trump won it by double digits. The last couple have been competitive, but Trump has held on. And one thing it points out on here is this county is dominated by a ski town. Usually those lean Democrat, but this one happens to lean Republican. So there's some potential here in the next election for this streak to end, and it goes blue. Let's head over to number 3. This is on the East Coast. We've got Talbot County, Maryland. And this county is going to be located on the eastern shore, about an hour and a half outside of Baltimore in D.C. And we've got a population here of 37,500. So let's see who lives in this county. In 2010, we've got a population that's 81.4% white, 12.8% black, Hispanic at 5.5%. Median household income here is higher. It's at 63,000. And the overall population has been stagnant the last decade. So still under 40,000 here. Not too significant, but it's not super far away from some heavy populations. Let's go up here and take a look at the last election. Here again, Trump won it, but it's a little bit lower than numbers 4 and 5. He's down to 48.73, but that's good enough for a win. Harris at 48.7. That's a margin of just 0.03%. And this county voted blue in 2020, and Trump also picked it up back in 16. But back in 16, his margin was 10 points. So it's narrowed up considerably over the past 2 elections. Before that, it voted red all the way back through 1964. So this is the kind of county that used to be redder, seemingly favoring a more classic type of Republican. Trump did do pretty well here in his first run, but the last 2 were extremely competitive and nearly went blue. Anything could happen next time, but this might be a county that could end up flipping. We've got a couple more of these. Let's go to the opposite end of the country. This is in California. We've got San Joaquin County. And here it is highlighted right here, kind of in the middle of the state. It's maybe an hour outside of Sacramento and a couple of hours east of Oakland. And it does have the city of Stockton. And the population here is pretty substantial. We're looking at 779,000. And next, I think we're dying to take a look at the demographics. Here we've got the great looking table. We've got a white population, only 27.6. Black is at 7.3. Asian, 17.3, and Hispanic 41.8. And the overall population in this county has exploded over the decades. It was only 102,000 back in 1930. 30 years later, it was at 200K, almost 500,000 in 1990, and now it's over 800. So massive growth here, but how does that affect the election results? Well, down here we've got Trump clinching it with 48.69. That's his worst yet, but Harris still even worse at 47.81. Now the voting history of this county is different. The 4 previous elections were all blue. That's Obama through Biden. In fact, last time Biden won it comfortably by almost 14%. Now the county did support George W. Bush twice, but ever since then it's been double digits blue. Now prior to Clinton winning it 2 times, it had a few decades of going red, but this county did not even look competitive during Trump's first 2 runs. It's hard to imagine Trump actually flipped it when he was down double digits just 4 years earlier. But that is what happened here. The third party vote is at 3.5. So Trump only had a plurality, but that was enough to get the job done here. A notable factor there is probably going to be the shifting Hispanic support we've seen across the country. So we've got 1 county left where Trump did even worse and still picked it up. This is again going to be in a completely different part of the country. Number 1 is in Mississippi. This is Issaquah County, and this is in the Delta, and it's actually the lowest populated county in the state. It also has kind of an odd shape to it if you look at it highlighted here. There's only 1,338 people here as of 2020, and like many counties in the Delta, it is a poor county. The per capita income here is under 25K. So how about the demographics here? Here we've got a majority black population, about 56%. White is at about 33, Hispanic 9.5. So with those demographics and the poverty in mind, the overall population here has been on the decline. It was actually over 10,000 back in 1910, and it was over 2,000 still in 2000. But there's been a big drop off over the past couple of decades. So if you add all that up, how does that affect the election? Well, Trump here was down to 47.59%. You might not think that's enough to win the county, but Harris did even worse, just 46.1. Third party vote is at 6.27. And we see yet another different voting pattern here. This county voted blue from 1988 to 2020. Some of those margins were huge, but most of them were by more than 10 points. Last time it was about 7%, Biden at 52.5. So Harris really sank here. That is the lowest percentage for any Democrat since way back in 1964. That was when Lyndon Johnson got under 7% to Barry Goldwater. So that is definitely worth pointing out. On the other side, Trump did his best since Reagan in 1984. So a lot of movement here in a short time, but at the same time, not a lot of population here either. You could see not even 300 votes here for Trump, but that is a streak snapped after about 4 decades. It remains to be seen if those trends are going to continue. If they do, this county should stay red in the future. But in a post-Trump world, if they start voting how they did pre-Trump, then you're easily going to see the Dems have a resurgence here. If they do, it might not be by the margins they were used to. So we've got some very interesting data here. And if we go back to the national map, we've got all 5 counties here. And you'd have a hard time trying to spread these out more than this. 5 totally different states: California, Colorado, Indiana, Mississippi, and over here in Maryland. We've got different demographics, different population sizes. But the one thing they all have in common is they all voted red this time. The margins were extremely narrow, and 4 out of the 5 of them voted for Biden in 2020. So with the swings from 2020 and the margins in 24, these are the 5 worst Trump counties that he still won. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about any of these 5 counties? Do you happen to live in or near any of these counties? What do you think about the demographics and the population sizes in all 5 of these? And what do you think is going to happen in the future? How many of them do you think are going to stay red next time? Or do you think some of them are going to flip back and go blue? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to help support the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.